Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm Simon of Savage Reads and today I'm back with my mate Kim, and she has been, I always want to go Kim because of Kath Kim every time, I'm so sorry. I'm back with my friend Kim, who has been through my bookshelves and chosen 5 books that we can talk about. They can be books that Kim hasn't read that she might like to, or has never really wanted to, but why do I like them? Or she can choose books that I like that I didn't like. She can troll me, all sorts. Was it easy or was it difficult?
Well, when I first had a look, I was like, I don't think I've read any of these books. What I ended up doing was just going book by book by book. And then I ended up realising that I had read quite a lot. Okay. And I chose a whole bunch. And then I was like, oh my God, they've all got like the same theme.
What was the theme?
It was sort of dark, gothic. That's
probably where we chime.
Yeah,
on a lot of stuff.
I think it probably is. So I put a couple back and then I swapped them out, and so yeah, it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, me and Kim have done another video which I'll link down below where we were talking about what we had read, what we were reading, and what we're going to read next. By the time this goes live, we'll have read all of those. Also, I'll leave the links to Kim's book blog below and her Instagram and her Twitter so that you can go and get following, because she's full of good book content.
Oh, thanks.
And sometimes amazing breakfast with blue yogurt on, which I really want to try.
That wasn't good.
Anyway, book 1.
Yes, book 1.
Yeah.
Okay, this is sort of a random selection. I'm not reading around in a
weird way.
I've got a bag.
Oh.
It is The Bell Jar. And correct me if I'm wrong, but did you choose this book for our book group?
I think I might have. So me and Kim started a book group when we realised that we worked on the same street after we'd been chatting on our blogs for a while, about 11 years ago, we think. And I had always wanted to read it, but it felt like I needed people to read it with, because I felt like I kind of missed out. I have to say it's not one of my favourite books. I've kept it because I really love the cover, and also sometimes you keep books because then you can go, look, I read it.
Yes, it is one of those books. The funny thing is, I remember when this book was chosen for our book group, and my heart sank because I had read it before, and I was like, I don't know that I want to read them again.
I don't think I would read it again. Well,
the really funny thing is this book I read at probably in my early 20s, when I was a little bit lost. I'd finished university, there was a recession on in Australia, there were no jobs, I was supposedly an environmental planner. No one knew what an environmental planner was at that time. I'm talking the early 90s. And I was a bit depressed, and I was working part-time in a bookshop. And I read this book and I picked up on all the depressing things about it, which is a woman in her 20s who is a bit lost as well, but she's clearly a very talented writer, and she gets an internship on a magazine in Manhattan, and it's all very exciting and new, and she's working with a bunch of other interns of similar age. And I think she has difficulty relating to other people because she realises that she sees the world in a slightly different way to other people. And then everyone probably, when they think of the bell jar, they think, depressing.
Well, also because of Sylvia Plath, it's supposed to be a little bit autobiographical, isn't it? And we all know what happened to Sylvia Plath. Well, if you don't, that's going to be a big shock. I'll go look it up.
Well, the second half of it is very depressing because she starts to lose her mind.
Yeah.
But when I read it the second time, I was obviously a lot older. I was like 20 years older or more. I came to it from a completely different perspective, and I thought it was really funny.
Oh.
There were bits in it that were humorous that I hadn't picked.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, there's some funny... There's one scene that sticks in my mind when they all cram into a yellow cab in Manhattan, and it's going around corners, and they keep doing this, and they end up making a game out of it. I mean, everyone's done that in a cab or a bus or whatever. So there's lots of little moments like that, and so reading it as a proper adult, I suppose, I saw it as it wasn't as depressing as I thought it was when I read it when I was younger.
I don't know if I will read it again or not. I don't know. Look at how dirty it is on my shelf. Anyway.
Well, it looks like it's well loved, Simon.
Yes, it's been well thumbed. Book 2.
Okay, book 2 is Michael Faber, Under the Skin.
Which we're going to have to really not give
I know,
too much away about.
It's a very hard book to discuss. And the really funny thing is I chose this for our book group to read. And it's one of the highest scoring, every time we read a book, we give it a score and we add up the score
And then there's a group
divide it, and we
consensus,
give
yeah.
a group
I should say this book club, even though Kim's left at some point, I've left indefinitely, forever, possibly. Although I'd quite like to come back to one at some point. I think that'd be quite good fun. It's still going strong.
Yeah. So this book, it's hard to discuss because it's got a real... The clincher comes at the end. Like
It starts with a woman who is driving around looking for men to give lifts to. She has a ulterior motive, which gives a whole different genre twist to it all. Is that enough?
And it's set in Scotland.
Yeah.
She drives
The
up.
book's better than the film.
I haven't seen the film.
I didn't like the film very much.
Oh, no, I haven't seen the film.
I love this because it's the kind of book I wouldn't expect to look. In fact, not wanting to give too much away, it's one of the reasons that I think I love From the Wreck so much by Jane Rawson, because it has that twist that you're just not quite expecting in a certain genre, and then you go, oh wow. And I think this has that same thing, but I've read it previously.
Because it's one of those books you get to the... It's very mysterious all the way through, and it's kind of gothic.
It's like a
and
thriller
dark.
as well. You've got this, and it's quite
Suspenseful.
gritty, and you're quite tense when you're in it, and then suddenly you go, oh my god.
And it's the ending, and you go, it turns everything on its head, and you go, how did I miss that?
But also, what's brilliant about it is that even when that happens, that could be a real break for the book, because you could be like, well, I don't believe that at all.
Yeah.
And you totally do. It's all completely plausible.
It's very... And it's a very issue-based novel as well. If you're a meat eater, you might not want to eat meat again.
But also, I think it's kind of about class as well a little bit. When you get to the real crux
and it's kind of got bits about sexism in it as well, and
you certainly won't want to hitchhike ever again. That's the last thing.
Do people still
I've done it
hitchhike?
once. Yeah, I had to do it once when I was younger. Book 3.
Book 3 is... not the depressing one.
But now this, I have to say, sadly, I've stopped reading Pyrini Press. I haven't read any of theirs for ages. But this was a book that was this was a real blog book.
I think, was this their first one?
I think it might have been their second or third, possibly.
Check.
Oh, is this number one?
Number one.
But this kind of went bonkers, and everyone was talking about it because Pyrini Press is a small press where they publish novellas from around Europe that have been translated that ideally you can read in an hour or two, which is good with this book, because if it hadn't been so short, I might not have finished it. And this book is all about the finish.
Yes.
I think.
And this is...
Again, we can't say
I know, I was going to say it's another book where I can't say what happens at the end because it'll spoil it. But all you need to know is it's a young woman. She's on the poverty line. She's got 2 young boys. She's saved up her money, scrimped and saved. I think she's got all her pennies in a biscuit tin or something.
Yeah.
That's what she takes with her. They go on the bus to the seaside. She wants to take them to the seaside because they've never seen the sea. It's French, so I kind of imagine she lives in Paris and she's taken them to the closest beach. And it's like it's the off season because that's probably the only time she could get a cheap room. She doesn't have any money to sort of buy them food. I think it's a really...
I think they have fish and chips and an ice cream as like a massive treat, don't they?
Oh my God, we've never had that before.
Yeah.
It's raining, it's drizzling. She just wants to spend her time in bed under the covers. And it has a kind of dramatic...
You feel there's a tension and a brooding nature of the atmosphere as it goes. You don't know quite where it's going to go, and almost even saying that makes people think they're going to start with. Has it got a hair in it?
Yes, it has. I think
What's
that
wrong
might
with all
be
these
a cat hair.
Books? My cats are very good readers. Only at night when no one can see. But it has that kind of thing where you sense there's something quite dark, maybe.
It is one of those books that it is a Marmite book as well.
Yeah.
So there will be people who think this is the worst book ever for the morality of the book comes into question, I think.
But that's what I think is quite interesting about, actually about Mika who runs it. Because Mika who runs it, also one of her, I think it was her first book, Magda, there was a lot of questions around the morality of some of the stuff discussed in that. Yeah. But actually, if it gets you talking, I think it's quite important.
Well, it is actually a story that could just be lifted out of the newspapers because these things happen all the time, but we don't really discuss it. So anyway, this is sort of an insight to my mind. I quite like dark books.
But I think that is where we... And I think that's why we were talking about it the other day, like, because Kim read a lot of Irish fiction quite well, and we were talking about how we both really like the lilt of the Irish language and the sentiment into it, but also one of the reasons that I think I love Australian fiction is the gritty nature of it. It's generally got a lot of grit to it, and I think I like a bit of grit and dark gothic.
Okay, which leads me on to...
I really love
this book
that
number
book.
4,
Yes.
Kindling by Neil Bartlett, which is basically, it's like a gothic... I was going to say fairy tale, but it's not much of a fairy tale.
No, I don't know what fairy tales you were reading as a child, Kim.
It's basically about, it's in the 60s as well, London.
Yeah.
A man who, he keeps dreaming of...
He becomes obsessed by this particular boy as well,
Yeah,
doesn't he?
well, I think it starts off where he keeps dreaming of someone hanging upside down in his bath, and every time he dreams it, he sees a bit more of what the image is, and he figures out it's a boy, an attractive boy, and then he works in the skin trade. Makes coats out of fur.
In the dark back
starts.
streets of East London. I think it's East London.
It's actually near Canongate.
Cannon Street?
Cannon Street. Canongate's here. I've got publishers on mine. Yeah, Cannon Street, because I used to walk past it catching the tube. And I was just thinking, it's not called Skin Lane, it's called Skin something else. But a new apprentice starts work in his factory, is that what you call it? And he realises that this is the boy he's been dreaming about.
And it gets really dark.
It gets very dark.
And this was when there was an old TV show on Channel 4 called the TV Book Club. There were 4 of us. There was me, you, Lynn, and Kirsty. And Lynn would go read it, and Kirsty, who now works at, she's a big wig at Atlantic, isn't she now? Yes. And we decided that because we thought that the conversations were a bit, it wasn't a very good TV show, let's be honest. We decided we would start on Not the TV Book Club, and on our blogs we chose 2 books each, and this was one of my choices. It's a real dark... I think Neil Bartlett's got an incredible way of words. I must read more of his books. I haven't read any of his other books since, but I really loved that.
I bought other books.
I think I've got quite a few of his on the shelves.
Mr. Clive and Mr. James.
Yeah, and then there was one, The Disappearance of Somebody or Other. That's not what it was called. The Disappearance of Somebody. I think they had a name. But I would recommend it as a read, because it is, if you like dark, gothic, gritty, creepy.
Yes, suspenseful,
chilling.
Not quite sure where this is going.
All the adjectives.
Yes, and it's
it's a nice book.
That's a good one.
And finally, book 5.
Okay.
I love this book. I also equally love the film, but can see them as separate entities.
Yes, I agree.
But I fell in love with both.
It's a rare case of the film being just as good, if not better, than the book. I loved that film. I cried all through that film.
There's rumours, isn't there? There's going to be a TV series just about Julie Walters' character in that film.
Is there?
And like her guest house.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Anyway, sorry.
Okay, great. The book, this is the best depiction of what it's like to be dislocated from your homeland, what it's like to be an expat. I read this book and it answered a lot of questions for me that I've been struggling with. When you move countries, you often feel dislocated because you don't belong there and you don't belong there. So where do you belong? And also, when it comes to, you might have a choice to move back or to do something different. It taught me that there's no right or wrong answer. It's just a different life you choose.
Yeah.
So she has the chance. She escapes 1950s Ireland to go to Brooklyn in New York to start a new life, but she's not happy.
No.
She's very homesick. She has the chance to go back, and it's like, what does she do? What's the decision? How do you make that decision?
Yeah.
Do you do it for your heart? Do you do it for your head? And it's really, really sad.
It is really, really sad. But
I'm
it's
feeling sad thinking
so
about it.
beautifully written.
Yes.
And what I think is great about Colm Tóibín, from what I've read of his, the only one I didn't like was The Testament of Mary that I've read of his. I've read various other ones and really, really enjoyed them. But what I what I thought I loved about this particular was he gets characters so quickly, and this is it's a short, sharp book, but it's epic in what it's saying. It's so vivid in your mind,
and it's an historical fiction, really, because it's 1950s. She gets a job in a department store, and it's like you can actually smell the department store, and it's just got that real evocative feeling of an oldie worldy department store.
Yeah, I did really, really love that book. And he's an author as well that I haven't read as much as I should have. Like, my gran really loved him, although my gran read his short stories, Mothers and Sons, and apparently there was so much gay sex.
I was going to say that.
Absolutely. She was shocked. She said, Simon, there's things in there that you just wouldn't believe. And I was thinking, not sure how true that is. But no, I just think it's a beautiful book. I thought the film was amazingly done. I really want to read Nora Webster.
Yeah, I've read that.
I've heard they're quite similar veins. Or did you not?
As much. No, I remember when this came out, there was a bit of criticism that Eilish, is that her name? The main character was passive. And I knew that before I started reading it, so I had that in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
And I didn't actually think she was passive. I actually thought she did make decisions for herself. She wasn't... The only decision she didn't really make was to go to Brooklyn. It was, I think her mother sorted that out. The priest and her mother sorted it out. So she didn't have much of a say. But she clearly wanted to go. But I thought actually she did make some decisions. She decided to educate herself. I think she's doing a book.
But also,
class.
at that time, there's only so much you could assert yourself or could, as a woman,
do
all those things, which is kind of the whole point of the book.
Yeah.
Well, those people have missed something, clearly.
Yes.
But there's a lovely selection. Thanks, Kim.
You're welcome.
What a lovely selection. Well, as I said, and all the links for Kim's everything, as it were, will be linked down below. Anyway, on that note, it's bye from me.
And it's bye from him.
And from you.
I was trying to do the two eyes.
Oh. And I ruined it. All right, bye.
Bye.